Hello, horror hounds. We've all heard the sayings that come from ancient passed down wisdom. A stitch in time serves nine. Too many cooks spoil the broth, and none perhaps more true than the ancient Celtic saying. If you watch enough horror movies set in wax museums, eventually you're going to come across an absolute turd. And that has, in fact, been the case with Nightmare in Wax. I was batting 3 for 3. Vincent Price, the 2005 Joel Silver, Robert Zemeckis produced House of Wax. The Wax Mask, co-written by Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci. Now we have 1969's Nightmare in Wax, which I watched this afternoon and can fully attest to being atrocious. Therefore, it's free and readily available on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. I'll put some links to the full movie down below. I don't know if it's gone out of copyright or if basically no one cares. Really, unless you're insomniac or desperately bored, it doesn't really deserve 90 minutes of your time. The blurb on the back is far more entertaining. Frozen into zombies, doomed to unbearable horrors. People puppets at the mercy of a fiendish madman in a chamber of torture. Cameron Mitchell stars as Vince Rhino. I love how I've noticed in the 2005 House of Wax as well, they'll call characters Vincent to just go, yeah, I know this ain't the Vincent Price one, but yeah, we know the Vincent Price one exists, all right. Stars as Vince Rhino, a former special effects man for Paragon Studios, after he is facially scarred by jealous studio owner Max over the actress they both love. He is jilted by the film company and so retires to run a Hollywood wax museum. That sounds like a perfectly reasonable career progression. Vince attracts new acclaim for his eerie and realistic wax models. They look uncannily lifelike. However, it isn't long before the enemies of Vince start to go missing. The enemies of Vince. Before the enemies of Vince start to go missing and effigies of the AWOL actors start appearing in Vince's Wax Museum. Vince's Wax Museum. Vince. Okay, I don't know why that tickled me so much. Hey, Vince. Oh man alive. If you've ever watched Mystery Science Theater 3000, this is the kind of movie that they would have on MST3K, the kind of film like Hobgoblins that would only be bearable if you were watching it with Joel or Mike, Tom Servo and Crow. It is movies of that ilk, like they used to do. What was it? The Girl in Gold Boots, The Wild Wild World of Batwoman. Those sort of 60s, really cheap, sort of make them cheap, stack them high type movies, and this is it in spades. How best to illustrate that? Okay, you've got the basement where he makes his. Forget that. He wears a fucking cape for a start, and an eye patch, and his workshop is, if you picture now a villain's lair from the 60s Adam West Batman TV show. Okay? It's a scientist's lair. And now just imagine that the lights turned off, so it's just ambient lighting. You are now imagining the workshop from Nightmare in Wax. Lots of dry ice, lots of test tubes and differently shaped bottles with primary coloured liquids in them, all bubbling away in tubes and things like that. Exactly as it is. All it was missing was just a canted frame and some pows and whams, and we're there in Batman territory. If you need any more, do you remember the 60s? Have you ever seen a 60s film where it'll stop and go, and ladies and gentlemen, here's this cool hip new band that we're trying to promote, who Probably the drummer in it is the nephew of one of the producers. So we're giving them a shot in this movie, and you have to spend the next 3.5 minutes listening to their pop song. That happens in this film. It's essentially an interlude. To make it make sense in the movies, you always get the star entering the club and moving really uncomfortably through the kids dancing. And this is it exactly, literally, right in the middle of the movie. Cameron Mitchell, with his fucking eye patch and his cape, he's moving through all these hip young things whilst the band plays a song, and the go-go dancers are doing this, and they've got tassels, gold bikinis on, and stuff like that. Yes, you think that sounds good. It's awful, I promise you, because you have to sit through 45 minutes of this before you get to that point. With the horrendous knowledge that there's probably about another 45 minutes of the movie after it to go. Oh man alive. The wax displays. So 1969, wax museums would still have been a viable concern, would still have been a thing. And there's a thing going on, excuse me, here. The wax displays are very telling. It's a Hollywood wax museum. I think they use the exterior of a real one, maybe even some of the interiors, because it's old Hollywood. It's Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara is one of the dioramas in Gone with the Wind. There's one of the Western actors, not John Wayne, but Rudolph Valentino's there, Marilyn Monroe's. So it's old Hollywood sort of glamour, if you like. And I was wondering whether the movie was supposed to be a sort of satirical insider's dig at Hollywood, because the villain of the piece used to work in the movies, used to be the head of makeup, and then he got scarred, and then he's opened this wax museum dedicated to Hollywood, and then people go missing. People who have wronged him go missing. He's got displays of all the people that have wronged him there. I mean, it's the same old story. And there's something there. While I was watching it, I was thinking, for a start, I don't know why he was head of makeup. I know it says on the back of this box that he was head of special effects, but he's very clearly stated to be head of makeup whilst he's putting blusher on the leading lady. Making the head of special effects, then have him scarred. Remake this with Tom Savini. Give him that gig. Have him open a Chamber of Horrors, right? And fully animatronic. Tom Savini to the max, all of these displays, and you can get whatever you've got the rights to, your Freddys, your Jasons, and stuff like that. The Exorcist. Go hog wild with it, and then have Tom Savini kill. So have the Chamber of Horrors have a retro 80s vibe to it, a nod to the slasher movies of the 80s, and then have Tom Savini kill off all the people that have wronged him with practical effects gore, and then make displays of them. Hollywood, I've just made you hundreds of millions of dollars. Whoever's got the rights, whoever wants to own up to having the rights to Nightmare in Wax, phone me. We'll cut a deal, because this baby can be remade as a Tom Savini vehicle and a love letter to 80s practical effects score, and it would be superb. As it is, this is bad. To top it all off, shall I tell you the ending? Yes. And I'm going to tell you the ending right now. It's all a dream. So none of it has, yes, I did say that. None of it has to really make any sense, but it is all a dream. I really don't know what the point of it was. The wax displays. I'll tell you why. I've just thought that the reason I think that some of it was definitely shot inside the real wax museum. Some of the displays were actually wax model displays, and quite good ones, and some of them were obviously people just trying to hold still and not managing, and they get around the not managing by there's one. Okay, there's one interesting bit in it. He doesn't turn them into wax models. He just injects them with a paralysing formula of his own concoction, which also apparently gives them all the vitamins and nutrients they need to keep alive. So his displays, his revenge is actually, he calls them his zombies, and it turns them into paralysed dioramas. And he talks to them, and they're fully conscious, and they can hear him. The thing is that it also seems to turn them into actual zombies, like Haitian zombies. Slaves. They obey his will as well. It's all weird, and there's no real through line, and it's kind of explained away by it all being a dream in the end. Anyway, if it had been sleazier or gorier, there would have been something to it. Uh, as it is, it's just there. There is nothing to recommend it, but you can watch it if you want. But since after this debacle, we're going to have some fun. We're going to Waxwork.